Hello and welcome to the 2022 kickoff event for the Engineer in Residence program. My name is Rebecca White. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Chief Executive Officer at Engineers of Tomorrow. Thank you for joining us today. I want to welcome everyone to the Engineer in Residence community. You are all part of something big. We have close to 300 engineer and teacher matches this year across Canada. I would like to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we're on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improve our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. So please join me in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and to consider how we are and can each, in our own way, try to move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Thank you. So a few logistical notes before we get into today's agenda. I just first wanted to say that this is a family-friendly event. I know it's a Saturday, so we all have different things going on, but everyone is welcome. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that you have a great experience. And to help with that, I'd ask that you take an active role today as well. So if you haven't done so already, please use the chat feature to introduce yourself. We're also going to be doing some breakouts, and I have a poll for you that you can take part in. If you are having any audio video issues, then the first thing you should try and do is refresh your browser. And then if you are still having trouble, then we do have our Sidekick. The Sidekick tech team is here to help us today. I would also like to just acknowledge that we're now connecting with many more French-speaking schools and engineers than we ever have before. Unfortunately, I don't speak French, so today's event is in English, and I do apologize for that. But I want you to know that we are actively working to make sure we have resources available in both French and English. All right, let's jump in. So here's what you can expect for today. To get started, we're going to spend a little time going through an overview of the Engineer in Residence program. So for those of you who are new here today, hopefully that helps you feel a little bit more confident and connected to the EIR community. And for those that are returning, please help them feel welcome. I will also spend a few minutes on goals and expectations so that you are all clear about your role. And then we have some tips on how to engineer a STEM experience in the classroom. So I'll be giving you a framework that you can apply to any activity or lesson to make them more exciting and engaging to all the students. And we are very fortunate today to have two guest speakers with us, so you don't have to just listen to me for the whole next 2 hours. First, we have Bev. She will be giving you a window into her EIR classroom experience and share some tips on how she worked with her EIR teacher to teach coding to grade 4s and 5s without computers. And then next we have Mr. Pineapple, Steve Matthews. Steve is the author of The Pineapple Theory and an ambassador of culture and core values. And then finally, to wrap up, I'll talk you through just some next steps and share some advice to get you going if you're not already. Now, we can't take all the credit for the success of the EIR program. None of this would be possible without the generous financial support from our program sponsors and donors. At Engineers of Tomorrow, we really believe in a community approach to STEM outreach, bringing together educators, industry, and engineers to create the best possible learning experience for students. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to let you know how you can help us to continue to build this community. So EIRs, we would love your help in connecting us with your employers. Quite often, organizations are looking for ways to align their corporate social responsibility budgets with volunteer opportunities for their employees. Does your employer know what you're doing in the classroom? Do they know why you're doing it and the substantial impact that it's having? We do have program sponsorship options available for all budgets, and we would like to understand how we can help employers even better. So I'm asking for your help to connect us with the right people inside of your organization that you work for. And to do that, I've created a quick employer survey that you can share that will help us get connected. You should be able to access it as a resource on the Sidekick side panel. If not, I will be sharing this entire presentation and all the resources available as well. And teachers, it is also so valuable for us to get a window into what's happening during the EIR visits. So please continue or share the impact stories with us. You can shoot me a quick email or tag us on social media posts. And of course, keep letting us know how we can best support you. We believe in a growth mindset and are committed to continually refining the EIR program each year. We have a very committed group of volunteers that help us make that happen. Our advisory board has focused working groups and is instrumental in the continued success of the EIR program. This year, the community working group helped us launch regional support. So you'll have access to more localized network of engineers and educators. And then our newest working group is bringing the EIR program to some Indigenous schools. We do have one school already in Nunavut, and I think possibly the teacher is here with us today. And we have two more schools coming on board, one in Pikangikum and one in Manitoulin Island. If you are interested in getting involved with that initiative in particular, please do send me an email. We are still looking for some volunteer support. Okay, all that talk about community, which I'm so passionate about, leads me to my #1 goal for all of you today. I'm committed to making sure that you feel connected and supported. I want you to leave here today knowing where you can get the support that you need. Okay, I have lots of clicks. Sorry, bear with me as I click through and move things along. All right, so first, let's start off by making sure that we're all on the same page. So what exactly is an EIR? Engineer in Residence. This year, we have an amazing cross-section of volunteers representing the engineering community. Professional engineers, engineers in training, engineering students, and others that are working in engineering roles. 40% of our volunteers identify as female, which is something that we're pretty proud of, considering only 20.6% of licensed engineers in Canada are women. We also have engineers from 7 provinces across Canada. Our hope is that the EIR becomes a resident in the classroom, visiting regularly throughout the school year to support educators and engage students to help bring the STEM curriculum to life. We want you as an educator to get to know your EIR, and we want the students to get to know the EIR beyond just their engineering identity. So a human-first approach really goes a long way in creating strong connections so the EIRs can become role models, ambassadors, they can be stereotype breakers, allies, and really just an example of what's possible. The biggest difference between the Engineer in Residence program and other outreach initiatives is its versatility, depth, and reach. The program is really easily adaptable and flexible, so it can be curated for the specific needs of your students. The EIR program allows you to develop really deep, meaningful relationships with students while at the same time just learning more about their needs. It's a collaborative effort between engineers as EIRs, the teachers and students to co-create a program that meets the unique learning styles of all the children involved. And of course, we do have lots of supports, recommended resources and programs available. We'll talk about some of them today, but please think of these as sources of inspiration. We really want you to integrate your own experience, your own engineering story into these activities. So EIRs, of course, can support the STEM curriculum with lessons, presentations. It's really great when you can find a way to incorporate, as I said, your personal experiences into these lessons to make them more relatable. What else? So EIRs can facilitate like fun activities in the class. Of course, we have our library of lessons where you can go to find the lessons that you can use in the class or just use them as sources of inspiration. We even have EIRs that will support extracurricular activities. So do you have maybe a coding or STEM or robotics club at your school? Maybe the EIR could be a featured guest at an event that's happening. I pretty regularly get asked, can my EIR do fill in the blank? And my answer is almost always yes. As I said, the program's really flexible and adaptable. I've heard from EIRs over the years that have taken their classes on field trips or done virtual tours. Some of them like to record videos that they can share. There's so many ways that EIRs can be utilized in the school. So by now, you should have connected with your EIR or your teacher. If that hasn't happened yet, don't worry, it's not too late. If you're having any trouble letting me know, any trouble connecting with the match, your EIR or the teacher, just let me know and I can help facilitate that. Preferably in an email. If you put it in the chat, I'm probably not going to see it. I know, though, that some of you have already started with classroom visits because I have started getting emails. I've started seeing things getting posted on Twitter, which we love. Please be sure to tag us if you are going to do that at EIR program or at EngofTom so that we can see them and share them. And by the way, if you are looking for sources of inspiration, I would encourage you to check out our Twitter feed just to see what's happening in other classrooms. You can expect to receive a monthly newsletter from us with important information, reminders, other resources that we think you would find useful. And then we'll do a more in-depth check-in in January just to make sure that everything is kind of going as planned. And then in May, you should expect a call or an email from us asking about your experience this year and if you would like to renew again for next year. So please don't wait until the end of the year to let us know if something is not going as planned or you could not connect with your match. Obviously, it is too late for us to do anything about it by then. Hopefully you are now starting to get a sense to understand what it means to be part of the EIR community, and hopefully getting excited about some of the awesome engineering experiences for your EIR classes this year. So where do we start? Messaging. The number one question that I get asked by new volunteers is, what activity should I do? And my answer almost always is the same. It doesn't matter. Now, obviously, I'm being a little bit facetious by responding in that way, but I say it because I want to make it clear that the message is equally, if not more important than the activity. So too often we talk about the what of engineering, not the why. We talk about what engineers design or build, what tools they use, what subjects they study in school. And when we leave out the why, the role of engineering in our society, the values and social impact of engineering, we're really only painting half the picture, and we're missing out on a diverse talent pool for the profession. So this diagram is showing us the current state of engineering messaging. I'll call it the what-focused messaging. And the idea here is that with the what-focused messaging, or the what-focused approach, we see this echo chamber effect happening. The what messages will resonate with those same types of students. Teachers on the call, I'm sure you probably already know who some of these kids are in your class. So we're still just missing out on a huge diverse group of students. I have talked to so many adults and they tell me that if they could go back in time and do it all over again, they'd probably, or they may, choose engineering. They just didn't get the memo, or they didn't really understand what it was before. So our friend Dean DeLuzio from Queen's Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science has a really beautiful way of explaining why we need more diversity in engineering. So I'm going to share a short video. So apologies there, but basically what Dean DeLuzio is saying, I'm going to flip to the next slide here, is that as engineers, we are solving problems for our community, for society. And so if we don't represent those communities and the society that we're solving those problems for, then there will be gaps. We have our biases. So it's very important that we have these diverse thinkers that represent the people that we're solving these problems for. And just tying that back into the messaging, when we talk to kids about engineering in a more inclusive way, then obviously we're going to reach a more diverse audience. Now, whenever I get the chance to go into a classroom, I always ask the kids, like, what comes to mind when you think of engineering? Or like, what do you think an engineer does? Or who do you think is an engineer? And this is what I hear. So here's the thing. It's not that these statements are necessarily untrue, but they're just not the full story. Or to use the analogy I used earlier, we're just not painting the full picture. So how can you engineer an experience in the classroom that goes beyond this? I'm pointing over here. I have two screens going. So this. So here we go. One of the keys to creating a richer STEM experience for students is to think more about messaging as an input. So we spend lots of time thinking about the activity, how many popsicle sticks do I need? How many pieces of spaghetti, marshmallow, whatever the case may be? How much time is it going to take? So we put a lot of energy and effort into thinking and planning about the activity. And so we need to at least put some strategy around the message that goes along with that activity. It's really just as simple as being more intentional about the message that goes along with that STEM activity you have planned. So here's a comprehensive list of ideas that you can come back to if you're not sure where to start. So I encourage you to take a look at this list. Like I said, you'll get a copy of these slides so you can refer back to it, and incorporate one or two of these into whatever activity that you have planned. And here's what it looks like in practice. So I'm going to use the most common STEM activity that I see, which is bridge building. And I'm going to leverage some vocabulary that I've picked up from my 13-year-old son. Sometimes these are cringy. Why? Well, most bridge building activities, or they're often done as competitions, are 100% what focused, and very little, if any, thought goes into the message that can accompany this activity. So we're missing out on a huge opportunity. So in this particular example, what I would be doing is telling the students that live in the city of Trail, in this case, I live in Orangeville, I'd be saying in the city of Orangeville, that our community has a problem. The river that runs right through the city has flooded. Maybe I would plan to do this activity in the springtime when we know flooding is an issue, so it'd be something that is relevant to them. And unfortunately, the bridge that connects one side of the city to the other is unusable during this flooding. And the residents on one side of this city are unable to access the hospital when they can't get across the bridge, obviously. So as an engineer, we have a responsibility to keep everybody safe and healthy. So we need to design a bridge that will allow the residents, all the residents of the city of Trail, to be able to access the hospital. And of course, as engineers, we have tools at our disposal, like math and science and the engineering design process to be able to help us do that. If you're looking for more ideas to help you engineer a STEM experience in the classroom, you can access our full library of lessons here. The link is in the resources. And also stay tuned, because new resources are always being added. We share them, usually I'll put them in the monthly newsletters or on our Discord server. New things are always coming across my desk or through my inbox, so just stay tuned for that. This one in particular, the Future City Experience, if you are interested in learning more about this one, just let me know. This is an excellent one. We've done it for the last few years now. We work together with Engineers Canada and Ontario Tech University for this design challenge, and it runs February to May. The theme this year is zero waste, so lots of great relevant things that we can kind of pull out of that. And this one is open to grades 6 to 8. With that, it is now my pleasure to introduce you to one of our experienced EIR program volunteers. Please join me in welcoming Bev. Some of you may remember her when she joined us for EIR training in July and talked about creating connections with students. Today, she's going to share some insights really about kind of where you can go from there. So welcome, Bev.
Okay, I am seeing Rebecca's screen.
Yes, you tell me what you want me to do, Bev.
All righty. First off, yes, I'm an experienced engineer in the classroom, and so I always bring my little doll. This is my timekeeper, and in my classroom, we designate a timekeeper to tell me when it's time to start wrapping up and start cleaning up, and we have a backup timekeeper. So Rebecca has kindly offered to play that role today since we don't have a real classroom. But you guys will be my classroom for today. So I'm going to flip back and forth between talking to you as the engineer and talking to you as a class. Rebecca talked to you a little bit about a lot of the different things that happen in a classroom and how we can manage that. And she also talked about how I came on for one training session. And at that point, what I was trying to tell people were there were things that were the most important parts of the program that had absolutely nothing to do with which activity you chose. This was my message from the teacher that I worked with for 6 years, and that was that the most important part, as far as she was concerned, was that the kids learn to try new things, to use their own ideas, and to try again. If it doesn't work the first time, figure out what's the matter and try it again. So that's my message for you today. In terms of application, we're going to talk about coding. Coding has been introduced to the Ontario curriculum as of 2020. And when it came in, there was some angst amongst the teachers in my school as to how they were going to manage to do this, whether they were going to have to learn a lot of software, and even amongst the engineers, whether or not they were going to have to learn a new programming language with all the, the semicolons and the dots and the quotes in the right places, and how are they going to do that with elementary school kids. So what I want to show you today is that really coding is a language. Coding is a set of blocks of instructions that are set up in a logical order with purpose to communicate what you want your robot, your pen, your neighbor, your co-workers to do. You can practice those skills, you can develop those skills without a computer, without anything electronic. So my topic today is no-tech coding. So first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about what coding is in the context of an elementary school classroom. In your resources, there's a 2-page document I put together for my teacher when this new coding curriculum got rolled out. So you're free to download that, have a look at it. I've just clipped the portions out of the curriculum, and I've defined some of the terms for the teachers. Really, it's a little crazy. To find this thing, it's filed under algebra. But as far as I'm concerned, coding is a language. Coding is a skill. And just putting it under the math curriculum has produced all kinds of angst that doesn't have to be there. These are the skills for grades 1 to 5. Can you put instructions in sequence? Can you put together 2 instructions? Can you put together repeating instructions? Can you nest the instructions? Can you use an if-then statement? That doesn't require a computer, and it doesn't require a computer to analyze, right? Not only that, when you put it down in those terms, most of your teachers are doing that already. They're just not doing it consciously. And what we really want to do is put it into the consciousness of both the teacher who's watching you and helping you do your activity, and the engineer that's putting together the activity, so that the students can learn how to put their thoughts in a logical sequence and communicate in a clear and unambiguous manner. These logic skills will give them the confidence to go forward and test their ideas, tweak them, and be a little more confident in themselves about their learning ability. The curriculum description is in the resources. Let's see. We are going to try this out. So also in the resources is something called our groundhog file. So open your groundhog file, and you're going to find something that looks like this. This is your worksheet. Okay, and Rebecca, if you can put that up on the screen just for a second in case people can't see what I'm doing or aren't able to download. It's just it's a blank grid, really, but this comes in context with an exercise that we did about directions. Okay, like do you guys all know which way north is? Where you're sitting, which way is north? If I was to ask you to point which way is east, can you do that? Can you look north and figure out which way is east? East should be your right hand, right? So having done that, and having also done some exercises where we've looked at grid patterns in terms of maps, in terms of how we can find ourselves, I've given them a blank sheet. Okay, and what I've asked them to, I'd ask you to do the same thing, is put on a groundhog sticker. Where's a groundhog sticker? Oh, this is because, well, here's my groundhog up here. It's kind of really a chipmunk squirrel deal, but the kids are okay with that. They understand that it's not a real groundhog. And I made up stickers for them that look like this, right? So that they can peel off the sticker, stick it on their grid, and that's where your groundhog lives. Okay, then there's also a sticker with the school logo. When you do this kind of stuff, the kids are just amazed, right? Like, how did you do this? How did you make a sticker? How did our logo get on a sticker? So put your sticker on your page somewhere. The idea is that you want your groundhog to be able to get to school. And you're going to, the coding portion of it is to code the instructions on how the groundhog is going to get to school. He can only go one square at a time, right? So he can't go diagonally. The sunshine is up there because we spent some time, because it was Groundhog Day, talking about seeing a shadow. With the grade 5s, we talked about right angle triangles and how you could take a square or rectangle, cut it in half and get a right angle triangle. So this is in context, but this is just an exercise for you to see how you could put coding into kind of like a non-computer activity. You also get to have a number of groundhog holes that you can put wherever you'd like on your sheet. And the idea is that the groundhog should not fall into the hole. Okay, so this exercise, I'm going to keep talking. You can do it. And what I'd like you to do is kind of do it just enough that you understand that there's a lot of different ways to, like that all your grids are going to look different, right? You all have a groundhog in a slightly different start position. You'll have the groundhog holes in slightly different start positions. And that means that your path to the school will be different for everybody. And what this means is you don't have one student who finishes first and has a perfect answer. There is no way you can copy each other's, although if there's slower students typically will take my sample and make theirs look pretty much like that. Some more creative students will have all kinds of things going on. There'll be trees popped up. There'll be, fences. They'll tell me that the door isn't in the right spot to get into the school. And these are all things that you want your students to think. You want them to be able to think logically where they want their groundhog, where they want their school. And as you go around and talk to them, this is for teachers as well. If you ask them, why did you do this? How does this work? What are you thinking? Then you'll start to understand whether or not that they have that skill of putting together sequential logic blocks, whether they've got that under control or whether they need help to figure it out.
Bev, it's been 10 minutes. As the timer, I'm just letting you know.
That I have 10 minutes left, right? Yes? Okay, so that is very simple. It's one person and it's one skill. It's your sequential learning skill. And what I'd like to tell you now is that you can take these skills, and if you consciously put the skill into your activity, even though the kids don't know it, you can build on the skills the same way as you would if you were teaching, say, a sport like baseball. You teach one skill, the next week and you go back, you don't leave that skill, you reinforce that skill, you practice it, you add another one. And you can do the same thing with coding, where you'll teach sequential learning, then you'll teach concurrent blocks, things that happen at the same time. And you'll progress through that until the kids have the learning steps that they need to fulfill the whole curriculum, but more importantly, so that they grow as a group and they can use those coding skills in their day-to-day activities and in the other activities that you'll present.
So time to see if you have been listening. I have a little poll that we're just going to use to be able to do some reflecting on some of the things we've been talking about. And don't worry, it's nothing too complicated. It's 3 questions. First one, where can you find lesson plans, activity ideas, and presentations that you can use in the classroom? Options are the Library of Lessons, Google, from your own experiences, or ask the students what they'd like to do. Right now, 90% Library of Lessons is in the lead. I'm starting to see a few people ask the students what they'd like to do, 6% at Google. I'll just wait another minute to see, get a few more votes in. We've been talking up our Library of Lessons. I'm excited to see. Yeah, everybody's picking that one. Okay, so I would say any of these would be fine, but yes, I am glad to see that you are getting more familiar with our Library of Lessons. I'm a big fan of Google. Like when I get asked for lesson ideas, if one doesn't immediately come to mind for me, Google's a favorite. I really like Pinterest just because I use it personally, so I'll hop on Pinterest to find things. And of course, from your own experiences, we have 0% that picked that, but I like to think back to when I was whatever age you're talking to, what was an activity that really got me excited? And then I'll try and recreate that and absolutely ask the students what they would like to do. Get their insights, get their take. Like if you can create an experience based on input from them, I mean, as engineers, that's, we want this user-centered design, right? So we want to absolutely get their buy-in. Next question, what's the best way to connect with students? The options are present your resume and long list of accomplishments, find common interests or hobbies, the human first approach, memorize all their names, or introduce yourself in a TikTok video. Right now, most popular answer is find common interests, take a human first approach. I would absolutely agree with that. As Bev was talking about, building up the relationship, building their trust, you really are going to have a better experience overall for the year if you take the time to do that. And that's one of the things that's so special about the Engineer in Residence program. It's not a one and done style of outreach. You have the opportunity to connect with these students on a regular basis throughout the course of the year. I saw a question in the chat about frequency of visits. The target we set is once per month. That's a target. You also heard me say the program is very flexible and adaptable. If you'd like to go in more than that, you're welcome to. If you can't quite make it in because you have a lot going on that month, that's okay too. In terms of memorizing names, if you're like me, I struggle with that. So don't be afraid to just ask them their name. If you're interacting with them, it humanizes you to say, I apologize, I don't remember what your name is, and so that you can get their name and use their name when you're talking to them. I threw TikTok in there just for fun, because if you want to be relatable and you feel like having some fun, absolutely try and do something fun there. I would caution you to be careful when you are just sort of presenting a long list of your accomplishments and, kind of a resume style. That's probably not a format that's going to land too well with this particular audience. But if you want to do it in a way that sort of is showcasing the path that you took and your engineering story that goes along with it, that would be amazing. And then lastly, how can I best utilize my EIR in the classroom this year? So for the teachers, involve them in planning, let them know what you have planned so that they can find a suitable activity. Give them feedback, let them know what's working well and what could be improved. Prep the students in advance so they could have questions ready and be excited for the visit. And then keep the lines of communication open and let the EIR know how they can help. So the split right now, we have about half of the people picking the first one. Second is keeping the lines of communication open. Third is giving feedback. And last, prepping the students in advance. These are all great things to put into practice if you can. We want the Engineer in Residence experience to be one of support for you as educators. So do what works best for you, and think of your Engineer in Residence volunteer as someone that can support you. All right. A few more coming in, it looks like, but I'm going to end the quiz now because I'm really excited to get to, let me move ahead in my slides here. I'm really excited to get to our special guest speaker today. So Steve, Mr. Pineapple Matthew, was born and raised in Montreal. French is his native language, but he wrote the Pineapple Theory series in English. He has held a leadership position for over 20 years in retail and supply chain, and he's a firm ambassador of culture and core values. When COVID-19 impacted life on Earth, he took full benefit of the forced leisure time sacrifice to reflect, make peace, and become prosperous, which triggered his purpose: assist humans to live on Earth more happily together. Steve has a strong ability to detect patterns. He's known for being inventive, passionate, determined, and, like the pineapple fruit, positively authentic. You are all invited to connect with him. I have all of the LinkedIn, Instagram in the resources on the side panel there. So please join me in welcoming Steve.
There's a lot of that happening. And at some point, I just got tired of it. And I wanted to create something that would be definitely fresh and authentic. It's just something that I'm actually really passionate about. That's what you do. To live happily together on earth starts within each one of us. If we're positive inside of each one of us, we become positive with others.
Life is a process, a pattern, a cycle, from the birth of a star to its supernova. Earth timeline's process, per the pineapple theory, is viewed as what was, still is. The wheel is a great example of what was and still is. Throughout Earth timeline, the process of moving inspired humans to create the first wheel, since the wheel never stops evolving, and the process keeps improving along with other processes. What was prior to the first wheel triggered negative emotions, tired of long walks, desperate of carrying heavy objects, and more. To move a negative emotion to a positive level, a process is triggered. The process for improvement is influenced by humans because humans are possibly the solution for everything. If the process of moving triggered negative emotions, how can the process improve to move positive emotions forward? The roadmap of a purpose, an idea, structuring the idea, assembling the idea, test it, and release it follows the process of an engineer's mind. And as humans, when we have identified a solution, we become emotionally positive. When asked by the CEO of Engineers of Tomorrow, what connects an author with engineering? My response was as follows. Anyone writing a book had an idea, a vision. The final product is condensed in the book like a 6x9 size. Working backwards, it was multiple spread out pieces of thoughts that needed to be structured, assembled, and tested to make it functional. It is the engineering of an author. Additionally, an author proof of copyright is like the patent of an engineer. The pineapple theory shares the importance to positively feed the mind, and this process starts early in one's life, like opening a young's mind to feed their creativity. The earliest in one's life scenarios are presented as a need to achieve, as a problem solve, as a process improvement, even if it works great. The earliest in one's life, the mind is trained to look for solutions to keep moving positive emotions forward instead of emotionally looking at a problem as a roadblock. The pineapple theory shares the following perspective. See like an eagle, not a pigeon. A child has no life bias, meaning no shell at all. When a young one faces an emotional challenge, one sees like a pigeon and their emotions do not hide. What if leading those situations with a young one was the same approach when leading a mature pineapple? After all, the grown one have an inner child. There are three big troublemakers for one's emotional focus: sleepy, hungry, and an urgent need to do pee-pee. Be positively curious is a fundamental of the pineapple theory because there are three ways to be curious. You can be curious with negative biases, meaning with negative emotion. You can be curious with a neutral emotion. This usually makes someone uncomfortable because nothing is felt. Or you can be positively curious, meaning with positive emotions. One's inner sweetness will be filled with this approach. One's shell opens with this approach. Everyone has something they are emotionally engaged with, and everyone has something peculiar to share about themselves. Unless we are positively curious, we don't know about it because what we think we know is and should are one's biggest obstacle in life, along with what one assumes. They are emotionally trick one unless one is possibly curious. When someone sees like a pigeon, it often takes an eagle to grab the pigeon and simply bring up to show various alternatives. It is like showing a map where all roads leads to Rome. Don't change the goal, change the path to reach the goal. Get to know one, identify what they are emotionally engaged about, and use that knowledge and understanding to provide scenarios and perspectives with what one is emotionally engaged with. The roads shared often connects emotionally because their emotions became real. What if I told you that I self-lead with what I'm emotionally engaged with? Because what I'm emotionally engaged with assists my reasoning process to see the good in every situation when I feel like a pigeon, such as and not limited to Marvel movies, Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Big Bang Theory, Young Sheldon, and Friends. Yes, superheroes, and more importantly, I am engaged with humor. Humor. Isn't it a lesson from the Monster Inc. movie? There's no sound about it, Rebecca.
Is sound working? No. Well, I think most people have seen Monsters Inc. No, I know I have.
And I'll keep on going. The earliest in one's life, the mind is trained to look for solutions, to keep moving positive emotions forward instead of emotionally looking at a problem as a roadblock. As a team, the earliest humans learn to collaborate positively to become together the solution. Add other teams, and the mind will be trained to be possibly curious with other alternatives. Like the key to unlock one's mind, like a light bulb to illuminate the possibilities, like the wheel to keep moving positively forward. Wheels, keys, light bulbs, and many more have diverse options available with their purpose to resolve what was once the trigger of a negative emotion. Throughout Earth timeline, several methodologies took birth and still live today. Methodologies providing perspectives to understand life and humans emotionally better. Remove the illusions of their storytelling and their raw concept can be seen. Their raw concept is their purpose. Assist humans to live happily together. To live happily together starts within each one of us because when we experience positive emotions within, we become positive with others. Whatever floats your boat. What if life was like a river? To onboard the journey, you need a boat and you need to be the captain. Sadly, the river cannot flow smoothly all the time. Various levels of storms are to expect. Storms influenced by nature, yourself, and others. When they do happen, does your boat float? Do you remain the captain of your boat? Because the pineapple theory views that theoretically, everything is like a pineapple. Let us reapproach with a philosophy of the theory. What if life was like a river? To onboard the journey, you need a boat and you need to be the captain. Your boat can be a pineapple sliced in half. Perfect curve, awesome shell, and a possibly authentic bow. Your sweet pineapple boat is your foundation, and it keeps you above the water. Inside the boat, the inner sweetness defined as you. You are the captain of your pineapple boat, the leader and its engineer. To remain above water, your pineapple boat will require maintenance, improvement, and passengers of your choosing, because sadly, the river cannot flow smoothly all the time. Various levels of storms are to expect. Storms influenced by nature, yourself, and others. Have you engineered a pineapple boat that floats when there are storms? Your pineapple boat, are you able to navigate it when there are storms? Following each storm, no matter their intensity, will require you to maintain and improve your pineapple boat to keep it floating on the river of life. Because life always flows forward, it does not plateau. Therefore, you should always be moving forward with it. What is past is now behind you. The journey will make you learn every day. Become a problem solver, and become possibly curious with various tools to assist you to keep your pineapple boat floating, keeping you sweet, and make it a positive experience for the passengers on board. Engineers of Tomorrow shadows the pineapple theory's purpose to help improve a positive life experience on Earth with positive emotions. This process requires to build an inner foundation, which will serve as a toolbox to find positive emotions within when facing challenges. The earliest in one's life the tools are made available, the earliest one can practice them and open their curiosity with other tools that may possibly serve them. The earliest one's mind is encouraged with their creative and biased reaction, the more humans become inspired. And when we are inspired, we become inspired. The pineapple theory shares principles, concepts, and tools. Throughout Earth timeline, several scientists and physicists proven their theories, now known as principles, proof of concepts, and tools to create what is physical. All these tools, the earliest in one's life they start to be practiced, the earliest one becomes the master of an art. Even when a master of something, masters always keeps practicing and learning. What is your daily feel good for a quick positive boost of your emotional batteries? I asked this question to the CEO of Engineers of Tomorrow within the 3 first minutes of our very first discussion. My daily feel good is weightlifting. For many, it's voluntary. When I coach managers who are leading with the weight of their title in a corporate culture, I guide them to lead a team of volunteers to change their leadership style. Volunteers, like employees in a corporate company, are the builders. Volunteers, they build entirely with their values by giving to others. When giving your values to build a positive future is your daily feel good, and it positively recharges your emotional batteries, it deserves to be recognized. Engineers of Tomorrow's volunteers, they do not only inspire the young pineapples to discover engineering, but they also inspire the young pineapples to lead with values and give back. We all have emotional batteries because we're all energy. Your positive energy can help someone else recharge. Because we are virtual today, take a hand of your choosing. Put that hand of your choosing on the shoulder of your choosing and give yourself taps of recognition. The pineapple theory views the following perspective. Pineapple is human. Everybody has an inner sweetness, defined as their emotions. Everybody has a shell, which serves as their protector. Everybody wears a crown, defined as their positive authenticity. Theoretically, do we understand what each of these parts are? Can we master the art of using them and keeping them balanced? The pineapple, from all fruits, looks positively authentic. The great thing about it is no matter its shape, size, height, and color. One thing remains the same, it's inner sweetness. Remove the biases of differences, and pineapple is engineered. It's a matter of perspective. Engineers create to improve life on Earth, leading to move positive emotions forward. It is obvious that all principles, concepts, and tools of the pineapple theory sync with engineers of tomorrow to assist and cultivate a growth continuum of inspiring and bright future of minds. Let's bear in mind that in life, like pineapples on a pizza, keep it sweet with yourself and others because not everything is suited for everyone. The process leading to earning the title of an engineer is not for everyone. Anyone can become anything they desire. After all, if a cauliflower can become a pizza, you can become anything like a pineapple. Engineers of tomorrow and their volunteers are providing the energy of their positive emotions about engineering to young pineapples. No matter what one wishes to become while growing, the young pineapple is positively fed to see problems as solutions instead of problems as problems. While growing, the young pineapple is positively fed to identify solutions, action them with limitless imagination. No matter who they are, no matter their title. One sees solutions, one sees the good in every situation. How great does one feel when one found a solution to what they thought was a problem? This positive emotions of finding solutions and feel it, experience it like your inner child drinking chocolate milk. This power tool can serve everyone because pineapple is human, human is engineer. Humans are possibly the solution for everything. Today's generation is tomorrow's generation. If positively fed, it will become a bright future because together we can. I'm Mr. Pineapple. Thank you for your attendance today and thank you for supporting Engineers of Tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Steve. I was reflecting as you were talking that I think maybe I need to go update my LinkedIn profile and like talk about maybe being a pineapple, and you really got me thinking. I really appreciate your perspective, and hopefully everyone here today, it's given them just a good way to reflect as well. I'm just going to flip over, and there's just a few little wrap up things that I want to make sure that I cover, but if hopefully, is it okay with you? Will you stay on the line in case there's some
Yes.
people that have questions for you? Thank you
All
so
good.
much. Okay. All righty, here we go. Okay, so like I said, I just got a few more slides to wrap up for today, and then I just really want to set you up for success for this EIR program year. So there were some questions around the financial resources that you have available to you. So we talked a little bit about this already, but EIRs, if you haven't done so already, you do need to get your police vulnerable sector checks done. This process does vary based on where you live. Each police district likes to do things a little bit differently, and the cost of those checks do vary, anywhere from free to upwards of $50. So we will cover the cost of the first police reference check that you need to get done. And then the materials that you're using in the classroom, like I said, you do have a small budget for that. You can spend up to $300 per class. Details for where to get those reimbursements are on the EIR.ca website. And they are also, the links are also in the resources section here. And then just wanted to mention, we're also happy to help supporting you in finding other sources of funding. Over the years, we have just seen some really interesting creative ways to tap into things like corporate funding or in-kind donations. If there's anything that we can do to help you with that, please reach out and let me know. And speaking of fundraising, I do have a very exciting announcement. I am very excited to announce our second annual EIR t-shirt fundraiser. So the proceeds from the sale of these shirts does go right back into supporting the EIR program. And I want to just tell you a little bit about the special design of this shirt. So this t-shirt was designed by our very own program coordinator, Avery Gorglad, who is here today. Hi, Avery. Avery is now a second-year engineering student at Queen's. And this design symbolizes the collaboration and interconnectivity between between engineering disciplines and people. So by drawing students together and incorporating symbols of different engineering disciplines around them, it shows that engineering touches on different passions and interests, but most importantly, it's for everyone. So to purchase a shirt, just the link here is in the resources, but we have a bonfire shop that you can go to if you're interested in that. All right, now the fun begins. Time to get started. So here are just a few easy things that you can do. Get a meeting with your teacher or your EIR on the calendar. If you've already done that, book your first class visit. Second thing, connect with our online community. You are not alone. We have a Discord server set up, so I encourage you to get on Discord with us. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's just like Slack. It's just a chat platform where you can ask questions, share wins, ask for help. And then EIRs, just a reminder, please, we could use your help connecting with your employers. So please pass along our employer survey so we can help industry partners get more directly involved in supporting the next generation of problem solvers and game changers and baby pineapples. Thank you again to our friends here at Sidekick. I have really enjoyed using their platform to help make these events more engaging and hopefully a better experience all around. And then finally, just a big thank you to all of you for giving up your very valuable time today. I hope you're feeling more connected, and I can't wait to hear about your EIR classroom visits. With that wraps things up for today. I will hang around. Steve is hanging around here with us if you have any more questions. Otherwise, take care and have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
So Rebecca, I have a question right off the hop.
Go for it.
I received an email stating that my email address would be forwarded to my regional representative, my regional chair.
Yes.
So I haven't received anything from them. How do I get a hold of them directly?
We will. Well, step one is I need to set up the email addresses for them. So I was just waiting until after this event. Since this is a new initiative this year, we are going to create unique email addresses. Like, for example, it'll be like gtanorth@engineersoftomorrow.ca. So once we have all that set up, I can send out a communication with all those email addresses so that if you want to initiate the contact, you can do that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for asking about that. Oh, thanks, Nick. Nick just put the link to the t-shirts in the chat. I'm just trying to scan. Was there any other any other questions that came up in the chat that I maybe missed? If there was something that I missed, just jump on and let me know.
Yeah. Hello, Rebecca.
Hi.
My name is Sunday. I just want to ask, are we to forward the police background check report to you directly?
It depends on your school. So and it mostly depends. If you're matched with a TDSB school, then send it to me. If not, you can send it to your teacher.
Right. Thanks.
If you're not sure, if
I'm
you
not-
don't mind, just send me an email and I'll check.
Okay, just to send you an email asking where I'm grouped under, right?
Sorry,
Just to
say
send
that
you an
again.
email to just to send you an email to just say where am I, which group am I under the TDS, or yeah, just to confirm my
Yeah,
group, right?
exactly. Yeah. And I'll double check for you.
Okay, so also quick one, the Discord, where do I get the link to register on the Discord? Sorry about that, I've missed a few
No
processes.
problem. Maybe Avery, do you mind popping the Discord invitation link into the chat? We'll put it there as well for you. Because I know some people, I think they're just on the Zoom, so they're not seeing all the resources.
Right, thanks.
Yeah. Cynthia is asking if I got your email. Yes, I did get a bunch of emails this week. I know there's been we have a few situations where there's some trouble connecting. I am working on it. Unfortunately, I was just a little bit swamped this week getting ready for today. So just be patient. I'm planning to get to all of that next week. Stephen's asking about kindergarten. Yes, we definitely have some awesome kindergarten activities, Stephen. There's some good ones in the library. And if you're unsure, just put it, there's actually a channel on the Discord server specifically, like we have channels set up by grade. So you can ask on Discord or just ask me. I have some really fun ideas too. Play-based is good. A lot of times we see them connected with like a story or a book. So like read The Three Little Pigs and then do an activity on structures is a good one. There was an EIR that was matched with a kindergarten class last year. It was a virtual match and she did some really cool stuff with them. Think they made like robotic hands out of cardboard and string and straws, if you've ever seen that done before. They did one where they did mixed colors, where they put milk and then food coloring and like mixed colors and learned about that. Oh, Connects would be fun. Yeah, Lego, anything with Lego. It's a lot of fun, the kindergarten classes. Yeah, and then I check in with your teacher to see what they have in their classroom too. That might give you some ideas. You're welcome. Thanks again, everyone, for being here today. I am here to help. So if you think of anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And thank you so much to Bev for giving us some of her personal insights. And thank you again to Mr. Pineapple for really getting us thinking. I love it. Oh, Dawn just brought up Scratch Junior for kindergarten. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, I think most people have signed off, so I'm gonna call it here. I don't think I see any more chats coming through. So I'm gonna stop recording.